Good one. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have not done a wee blether. And so I decided I had a few people actually emailed and asked to do more wee blethers. So we're going to do more wee blethers. And I've got 2 wee blethers with me. So I had Mum and Dad join me today to talk about books. Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
She's a big blether. I'm just a wee blether.
Yeah, right. Between the 3 of us, I think we're a lot of blethering going on. So how are you doing? You surviving so far? You've got your vaccination, so you're good, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we've
we
got the 2.
our second one over a week ago. Marion, your mum had more side effects in the second one than I did. And she's a lot better now, aren't you?
Too bad though, Mum, was
I
it?
just want to sleep and sleep.
Well, I want to do that too, but I can't. I've got no excuse yet. I haven't had the vaccine. We just heard that probably on March 1st they'll start opening it up so that we can sign up for ours. So that'll be good. Yeah.
Are they not giving school teachers in your state, Wisconsin, priority?
No, they
did. Had a vaccination a month ago. She said 2.
Yep. Minnesota, where Claire is, she got hers about the same time you guys did. They put their teachers in as first line workers and then opened schools. And I'm sure if they're Wisconsin, we just have a bunch of assholes in our legislature, and they are not tolerant at all of moving these things along quickly. Our governor's doing his best. He's doing his best. So anyway, we're 1B. We'll be up soon, and that'll be good. So we're having a wee blether today about books. And as those of you who've watched this before and know that I got my love from reading from the fact that these 2 love to read, and both your dads especially love to read, didn't they? Both of you?
Oh, yes.
Both of them.
Oh, yes.
Marion's dad was a very, very fast reader, and he liked to read biographies of famous people and real epic books. My dad, he was
cowboy books.
I remember that about Papa Barrowman. I remember on Sundays he always had like a paperback kind of mushed up next to his.
He loved cowboy books and he loved army books. In fact, it was so bad at one time. We had so many cowboy books beside his bed. We're building a stable at the back of it.
Did he ever? I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but he never rode a horse or did anything like that, right? It was
no, I don't think he could ride a bike.
Just from the movies.
Yeah, he
loved movies.
He loved cowboy books, and
my father was more deeper books.
Okay. He was a serious reader.
My dad would come back.
He was serious reader.
Yes.
When my dad would come back from his work, coming up the driveway, we would all sit at the window going. I remember I have an image of him always having a book, a Papa Barrowman, when we go over on Sundays for dinner, and he'd always have a book, and Emily would always like, put that book away. We've got, the kids are here, put that book away, or the Waynes are here. But Papa Butler, I don't remember what he read. I don't remember him reading paperbacks. Did he go to the library? No. His books. He went to the library and he bought them. He was one of his favorite books was biographies. Churchill. He wasn't a fan of Churchill, but he liked to read his books so that he could argue with him. So he could argue about him. So he could have a mental battle with him. Yeah, well, that's good. Those are good. Mental battles are better than the alternative. And then he loved to read any book about Robert Burns. Because I actually think I've got a copy of one of his Burns books that you got, and then you gave it to me. Yeah. Well, I gave you a book, the complete works of Robert Burns. Right. Not by Burns, but the books that he was reading was not necessarily written by Burns. It was writers who wrote
about Burns's life.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Ghostwriter.
Right.
No.
No, it would have been about.
You man. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. He liked to read about Burns. He liked to read
Right.
about.
yeah, and they like to read about famous people, and there was nothing that were beyond his.
I never
inbox.
I never saw him reading
Really?
cowboy books.
No,
No. Right. Right.
He was,
My dad was a cowboy.
Yeah, but it's interesting because they both as readers. Murn wasn't. Was Murn? I don't remember ever seeing Murn
No,
read
My
much.
mother, it was like the People's Friend and the magazines.
Yeah.
She
Well, that counts.
she always got her own newspaper that would come out at midday.
Yeah, and
What was it called? The Observer or something?
no,
Not the Record or the.
Oh.
No, the Record was a.
no, it was a magazine and came out in Scotland.
Well, if anybody and it
People's
came out,
Friend, I think that was
is it
No,
People's
whatever.
Friend?
that was
Whatever.
one of them.
Okay, is
Yeah.
that still around? Somebody, I'm sure, will leave. Somebody will leave us a note and let us know if. Leave
Yeah.
comments below if you still read Reader's Friend or People's Friend. It's called. Is that right?
Yeah,
And Emily. Now, Emily did.
She was a more serious reader.
Yeah.
Less than your dad. She liked novels and
the kind of books that you give me, Carol.
Emily liked.
Thing
Yeah.
that the grandpapa,
Barrowman.
like.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. And one of the things, friends, those of you who are watching this, because I write a lot of reviews, I obviously get a lot of ARCs and I give them away once I'm finished using them. And usually I curate a box probably a couple of times a month, right?
Yes.
I curate a box a couple of times a month with ARCs and then ship it out to California to them. Because how would you say, I know, Dad, you read faster than Mum reads, but you're both really good readers and you read a lot. How many books, at least during quarantine, would you say you're both at least a couple of books a week, right? You would say?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I
You
just
do
gave
more than me.
I gave about 40 hardbacks and paperbacks just before Christmas to the Goodwill.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's where they go after they come from me. They
Yeah,
go
they
to
go to
pamphlets
the
and then they
Goodwill.
go to other readers. Share
They
the
go-
wealth.
Yeah, and we give them to good, not Goodwill as it's named, but we give them to the Salvation Army
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
because of and we give them to the
It doesn't.
AIDS benefit.
Oh,
right?
the AIDS organization in town.
AIDS
Yes,
organization.
right. Cool.
Because they put them up and they sell them, but we don't give them to the group that's called Goodwill because they don't pay their employees more than the minimum wage and they make big profits.
All right, and we don't want to do that. So I'm
don't
glad
want
you're
to do
sharing the
that.
books. So how many would you say a week? Dad, you now the first thing you should know is, Dad, you read more than one book at a time, right?
I generally read, sometimes I've read 3 at a time because one is a heavy book. For instance, I'm reading Obama's book, right?
Right.
And that takes a lot of thinking and heavy reading.
Mhm.
So in the interim, I read Carol Hazen's.
Oh,
right?
and we're going to talk
For a
about
laugh.
Carol Hazen's
For a
Squeeze in a
laugh.
minute. Yeah. All right.
Right.
Good.
And then I also read this one. at the
Unspoken.
same so I was on 3 books and I would walk away when I get fed up with it. I get confused
Obama one.
sometimes, don't I?
Well, you're
Well,
fed up with Obama and you think Obama's in Florida with the POTUS and, you know, like, yeah, I get it.
The only one that I would never read it would. Well, I'm not going to say that because you've got friends that might not have the same political leanings as
Oh, I don't have any friends that aren't lefties.
Anyway, there's nothing that's out for Donald Trump at the
Oh,
moment
God.
other than that one.
Oh yeah, but that and
And
we're
that's
gonna
a
come,
really funny one.
yeah.
But
So let's
the
talk
other
about
one, the other one that I think that I've started is the cast.
right. Good, and that was a yeah. Yep, Cast, and that was a Christmas book from all of that a bunch of us read, and it's kind of circulating. So, Mum, how many would you can only read one at a time, right?
Oh, yes, yes. One at a time. I would get too confused. I have to read one book and then I was reading the other. I would get mixed up with the characters, and no, I have
Yeah.
to read a book from the start to the finish.
And
I read two. I one that's heavy and
one that's lighter.
because
Yeah.
you've got two eyes, you know. So, so that's why God gave you two eyes.
Right, one for the heavy book and one for the light book.
One book, right.
But
So it's-
obviously it's a lot of people might do that, and many people might not do that. It's
there's
not
a lot of people who don't like to
it's
read
only
more than one.
and a good memory to know where you were when you go back.
Yeah, right.
And I don't have that.
I don't think I have that. Well, I have to say I do read. I kind of do what you do, Dad. I've got a lighter book going always when I've got a one that would be considered more entertaining and not necessarily fluffier, but just a fiction. I've always got a fiction and a non-fiction going at
Yeah.
the same time. So a lot of people during COVID have had a hard time reading. You've actually found that you guys are reading more,
reading.
right?
Reading.
We're reading more and less television.
That's
I read. I
That's good.
probably read something like 7 books a month.
awesome. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
read 3 a month.
Yeah, 3 or 4, I think, because I mean, we for those of you who don't know, usually every Sunday we'll do a FaceTime and we catch up on what we're reading and watching. So I would say that seems a bit accurate. So let's talk about what you've read, and then what you do every night when you go to bed. And it's don't be dirty.
No,
I'm not talking about you
No.
being dirty. I'm talking to the audience when I say, what do you do when you go to bed? I think it's hilarious.
Well, when we go to bed, we take
put our jammies on.
remember, this is an 89-year-old and an 87-year-old. When we go to bed, we take out our books and we read until a certain time and we're ready to sleep. And once we're ready to sleep, we start and talk.
We have
our own book club. And we
Two of us.
talk about the books that we've read and what we thought of them.
Yeah.
I think
Now,
that is
remember,
awesome.
if we'd been younger, we would not have taken books to bed with us.
Role models in all parts of life. So we've got Barrowmans Bedtime Book Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's the chairman of the book club. And I'm the secretary.
I think that's awesome. So you literally, I just think that's hilarious and great. So you literally are in bed at night. It's like 11 or 11:30, and you're talking about a book that you've read at the set that you both read.
Right.
So one of you might have read it a week ago, and the other. So because what happened when you were reading the Carol Hayson?
Well, she wouldn't talk about it. I knew she was enjoying it because she was laughing all the time. And when we were younger, she never ever laughed in bed.
I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Anyway,
I told the people watching not to have dirty minds. I'd forgotten about you two.
Anyway, the Carol Hayes, she read that first, and I was reading this one at the time.
So first of all, hold it up high all the way up. So you both let's hold it up high, a wee bit higher, Mother, a wee bit higher. So we author a wee bit higher.
Higher.
Mum, yours a wee bit higher. There we go. So Cold Wind by Paige Shelton. So before we jump to the Hayson, you like that first, Mum, right? You actually ended up going back and reading some of the others earlier in the series, right?
You said that the previous one was Cold Ice or something, right?
Right.
By the same author. And your mother was smart enough she was halfway or a third way through this book, right?
Right.
And she stopped to go back and read the original, the first book.
Good idea.
And
I'm glad I did that.
And when she was doing that, I was reading this one. So at the point, I was reading this one.
Ian Smith's The Unspoken, which I wrote about and reviewed, set in Chicago,
Very
a
good.
great private eye novel.
No, but I would be asking her questions. How is that a good book? I'm not telling you about it. It's a good book. You'll have to read it for yourself. Well,
So
I said, but if you tell me all the good bits, I'll not need to read it. She said, you'll read it because it's so good.
Good.
So when she finished the first one, she went on to
Mom,
that.
you need jump in.
I jumped in and did it. Yeah.
Oh, I would not tell him unless he read it, and then we would discuss it at night in bed.
And the things that we would discuss is, who did you suspect that was the problem in the book, whether it be a kidnapping or a murder? And this one was a couple, that one, The Cold Wind by Paige Shelton, had so many opportunities for a crime in it.
Oh.
And it was in a desolate place in Alaska. So when we had both read it, we were able to say, who did you suspect? And she would say, oh, I suspected that one from the very start. I said, you're telling a lie. How could you put that? Yes. So that was a kind of conversation. And it was very, very amenable,
But
because we never swore at one another, did we?
But it was, we certainly are reading a lot more.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
really good. So the Paige Shelton. So let's talk about your book club's feelings on the Carol Hayson.
Oh,
So hold that all the way up. Yep. The Carol Hayson, Squeeze Me. Right. So tell.
Oh, that is the best book that we have read for a long time.
It's good.
A laugh out loud book.
The guy has a skill to write a novel, and he's also a humorist, and he writes humor into a serious chapter, and you can't help laughing, right?
Right.
And I would say to, when your mother was reading it before me, I said, what are you laughing at? She'll say, oh, you'll find it when you get there. I say, well, stop laughing, because this book I've got at the moment is serious and you're putting me off. I'll put you in another bed.
We're going to get separated then.
Right. We can't have that.
The beauty of it is they never identify the characters that have been ridiculed in it, right?
Right.
There's no doubt in your mind when you're reading it who those characters are.
Yes, it's definitely a parody of a Trump-like
Trump
president and his wife,
yes.
and their various shenanigans in a kind of a Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah.
In Florida.
It was very good where she was having this affair with somebody, right?
Right.
He's knocking in the bathroom. He's watching over a Secret Service guy. He's knocking in the bathroom door, and she said, "I'm okay." He says, Are you in there? Are you in trouble? She says, no. So she comes to the door to see him, and the only thing she's wearing is her sunglasses in the back.
A big, and it mentions the designer sunglasses that she's got on only.
I'll tell you one thing. She's a more likable character in that book than her husband.
Oh, for sure. Well, but the thing that's hilarious about it is, I mean, all of the things that you're saying, but there's also the element of, oh my God, it's funny, but so much of it really probably could have been true.
Yes.
Yeah. When you consider his shenanigans over the last 4 or 5 years,
Right.
It's so near the truth, it's unbelievable.
Right. And I wonder, what's interesting is I heard him talking on an NPR radio interview, and he said that was one of the things he worried about, because obviously he wrote that
before the end of the Trump era, thank God, right? I mean, thank God it's over. But he wondered if people would be so sick of Trump they wouldn't want to read it. But that wasn't the case for you at all, right?
No. And the other thing too is he must have wrote this book, the biggest part of it pre-pandemic, because the pandemic only gets mentioned in the last 3 or 4 chapters.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And-
I think that's true. I think he did finish it up and then and just sort of added because of what was happening.
The main character is so likable in it, and that's Angie Armstrong.
And she is what?
Yeah,
Tell us what was she again? She's an animal wrangler, right?
right.
Yeah, and
she catches the animals, and she catches. She goes to this house, and there's raccoons all over the house. So she goes in, catches them all, gets them all out, and the guy comes out, and he says, "How much do I owe you?" And she tells him. He says, "No, I don't carry that money.
$400.
$400. I don't carry that amount of money." And she says, "Well, if you don't pay me now, the raccoons are going back into your kitchen."
What happened was he gave her a credit card that got rejected.
Rejected, and I remember. That's funny. That was a great scene.
And then she said, "Okay, no problem, open your door." But
That's funny.
yeah.
Well, and also you the title relates to this giant snake that's going around the whole place. That's why it's called Squeeze Me, and that in itself is just
That's hilarious.
The thing is, it finished up. There was 10 snakes in the last 2 or 3 chapters.
But what I think is remarkable, Carol, this guy thinking something of this up and then writing all about it and the size of the snake. And how big it was.
Yeah, in one part, near the end of the book, a big gala for Trump, and he's all burnt up from coming out.
Don't give too much away.
No, anyway, he's the gala is him, and the one of the women who's got a women's club that adore him, right?
Right.
They're all very much.
What are they called again? Do you remember? They're the Patussies.
The Patussies.
The Patussies.
They were first called the Trump's
pussies, right? Or not Trump.
The Pussy Group, and then it was
Pussies.
Patussies. The one woman who's the head of them, she took over from the woman that died, right?
Right. And you know she died right away at the very beginning. So that's not right.
She's trying to get it on with a need of Trump, right? So, and when the snake appears, he's kissing her ear. So he bites her ear, and she's in blood all over the place, and she survived. So Armstrong, the woman, the young woman who brings in, captures the snakes, she's stitching her ear.
Angie.
In her ear, and she says, "You've got a nice touch for a physician, a doctor. Where did you train?" And she tells her where she trains, and she doesn't know what it means. She said, "But you've got a nice touch." She says, what hospital did you work? She says, "Animal Kingdom." She's an ex-vet.
She's an ex-vet.
I worked in Animal Kingdom. And she's stitching away. And it's so funny.
It's so good. In fact, they enjoyed it so much, and Kevin and I enjoyed it so much. Scott enjoyed it so much. I don't know if John got a chance to read it, but we all enjoyed it so much that I sent you yesterday, and I think you got one already.
Yes, it's called
2 more of Carol Hayson, because God knows we need to laugh more, right? So this book I sent them, and I'm not going to tell you too much about this, but Double Whammy, that one is awesome, and you'll love it. But the other one I sent, and I don't know if it came yet, the other one is called Native Tongue. And Native Tongue has you think the big snake was funny. Native Tongue has the most awesome, classic way that a bad guy gets killed in a mystery novel that you will ever read. And I'm not going to say anything else about it. And those of you who are watching this, if you've ever read Native Tongue, don't give away. Just, you know, we can talk about it at another time. After they finished reading it, we'll come back and we'll talk about it. But soon as you read it, how this person gets killed at the end of Native Tongue, you will die laughing. So
No,
we'll need to come back and we'll talk about the other two Carol Hastings another time. Well, that's great. I'm glad you guys are reading so much. So what have you so you haven't binge watched anything in a while?
We normally watch the political programs on TV, and
then we put it off.
but they're not as interesting anymore because there's not much about Trump that is talked about. Trump was the
Dominated
focus
all
of
those.
most political evening programs.
Right.
Where he would keep them going with the stupid things he would do or say, or the tweets that he would write. And, you know, he loved to hear about himself, even if it was in a derogatory fashion, because he felt that he was being admired by some people,
Right.
even bad people. So
Yeah. Do you think he's read the Hasten?
no, I
Do you
said
think he's read the Hasten?
I think Trump's read this. He probably read it.
I don't think he's got a sense of humor, and also I'm not sure he can.
They say he never reads, Carol.
Which doesn't
and it's
surprise us.
obvious. It's obvious he doesn't read.
Yeah.
No.
No, well, you know, the thing is that he's not very well educated, actually.
No,
because
so he
fluffed
wouldn't-
his way
no.
through school and fluffed his way through college. Money bought him all his education, and the thing is that you can tell the level of his education when he kind of fail. So, if this book, he was reading the book, and at one part in the book, the guy says "shite." Now, if Trump was reading that book, he would say "shite." What does that mean?
even though he's full of it, and he was and still is, right? So what's up next? So, Mum, you're gonna who's reading what next for your book club for your half hour?
The next one.
She's
Well, I'm
nearly
reading this at the moment.
So you're reading
And,
this. Good.
The quarter's finished.
All right.
I'm
And
going
you,
to start. If you've sent, wait a minute, if you've
I've sent-
sent the other, I'm
the
going to
other one,
start
I
that
think.
one.
Yeah. So you could start that one, and then
I'm going back to read a
yeah.
little bit more of Cast.
Okay. All right.
And
So,
then
Mum, you could
I'm gonna
start that one,
at
and
the
then
same time.
what's that
Carol,
one?
I have
Oh, that
something
one
to
is
ask
that,
you.
okay. So
Okay.
this one is going to be in my next roundup. I'm writing about burning girls in the next roundup. You haven't started that one yet.
Oh,
So let's talk about that one, and we'll talk about the other Carol Hastings next time. And
Okay.
then if anybody who's joining us or watching this and you want to be part of Barrowman Bedtime Book Club, we're not all going to get in real beds together, but maybe we'll do something maybe we'll do it in our pajamas, although I don't think Mother will come on in her pajamas. So
No.
I see, told you.
she wears her
Well,
silhouette.
but let's talk about the CJ Tudor and the other Carol Hastings next time.
Okay.
Okay, Carol.
All right.
Carol, can I
What?
ask you something?
Yes.
See this
me.
one,
Yeah.
the Alaska one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's maybe going to be another book coming out.
Oh, I imagine there would be.
Well,
I bet.
she's
The way
right.
it ends.
The last chapter ends in a way that you
They
say
say there's,
very ambiguous.
yes. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes. All right. So let your phone ring. Say goodbye first.
Okay.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
See you next time. Mwah.
Bye.